I hope you're ready to be inspired. Welcome to How Women Inspire. Today is somebody who always, every time I talk to her, gives me a sense of hope and inspiration. My dear friend, Cheryl Beninga. She's an experienced venture capital investor who's worked with tons of high growth companies in clean tech and mobile software, MedTech and enterprise software. But this is what's fun. She always talks to me about, like, your cell phone. I invested in all of the components that were the critical components inside your phone, which is a fun way to think about sort of the impact she's had on the world. And at a certain moment, she decided she needed to focus her extraordinary talents and experience and life force to really buoy up women founders and women inventors. So she's the managing director of Wai-Mohala Ventures and Beninga Advisors, and she's the co-founder of FourthWave Accelerator. She's putting her time, heart, and money where her mouth is. Her passion to empower female tech founders is just such an inspiration. It is contagious. And she has experience about all kinds of venture investing. She's seen it from seed to successful exits. Cheryl, thank you for joining me today. I cannot wait for everyone to get a chance to meet you.
Well, thanks for having me. And it's just joyful to be here.
I have an interesting question for you. If you were going to do an intimate dinner party with maybe 3 trailblazing women from across history, who would be on your guest list? And do you have a burning question you'd ask them?
Oh, okay. Well, that's a really fun thought exercise. And so I would pick women from some different historical periods. So they're a little bit all over. Okay, the first one is Cleopatra. Okay, so I saw a documentary last year about her life, and I never realized before that she basically ruled Egypt and Rome at the same time. And I was like, because she was always portrayed in the movies that I saw as just some really hot queen, that had all the men buzzing around her. But no, she controlled 2 empires in BC simultaneously. So I'm like, my burning question is, wow, how in the hell did you do that?
Kidding.
Talking about powerful feminine energy.
No kidding. I love that. And who besides Cleopatra?
So the other one, again, different time period, a totally different walk of life. Marie Curie, there's a woman, the first one to win 2 Nobel Prizes, the only one to ever have won 2 Nobel Prizes, a woman. And she was both in the field of physics and chemistry. And her work ushered in the atomic age. She invented X-rays. And so you know what? She died of radiation poisoning because they didn't know back then, right? So really interesting. Did you foresee the impact of your discovery for good and for bad? It's shaped our whole world in so many different ways. And she just had an intellectual curiosity and a brilliance that I'm in awe of.
Well, and today that's how AI is being powered. Okay, who's your third?
Harriet Tubman. We all just recently saw the movie on her life, which is just amazing. And, a slave, Underground Railroad leader, abolitionist, nurse, and then an advocate for women's suffrage. So just freedom, justice, courage, equality. Okay, and so that's my question. How did you find the courage and the resilience after all you've been through to go? And this is the thing. She went back 70 times back to rescue slaves as part of the Underground Railroad. That's amazing courage.
Yeah.
So that's my question.
70. That is massive. That woman took no breaks in between. My goodness. All right. No. Well, that sounds like I would love to be a fly on the wall for that dinner conversation. How exciting. Well, I have to tell you, Cheryl, I know there are people who would say you are that person. And I started this off by saying every time I'm around you, I feel so buoyed up with hope and perspective. Your intellect and your integrity all combined with this sense of abundance is pretty magnetic. Where does this come from? Is this sort of you family of origin, or did you have to work hard to get to this place of the way you are, how you are?
It's a growth journey for everyone, right? Life shouldn't be work, right? It's a journey of growth and discovery and curiosity. So yes, I've had many different instantiations, and I in terms of how I am in the world. And I think it will continue to go on. And hopefully it just continues to grow and have more impact.
Awesome. How did you start on a journey for venture investing? Like,
Mhm.
that's not really a thing any little girl knows that they should be thinking about.
I know it's very interesting. When I was getting my MBA, I did take a class on entrepreneurial finance. So I got like
Yeah.
a little glimmer of it, but I did not think that would be my career path, nor was I
Yeah.
aspiring to it. I landed at Intel, did a bunch of marketing, and found myself having to go help them purchase a company, which got me in touch with Les Fidesz, who was starting an investment group. And so I just kind of was in the right place at the right time and was, so it was kind of fate. But I do think women now can intentionally set their sights on it, but you really do have to have experience both kind of operationally as well as financially to thrive in that role. So it's not something like a new college grad can just step into.
Sure.
It's kind of something that you evolve into experientially. It is a growing field. So there are more and more opportunities.
So when you started, my guess is there were very few women who were, well, on the staff side, but also LPs in those firms. I mean, I know this is your big passion. So how did you go from, get to the point where you really want to see more women investing?
Oh, yes. Well, that's also from experience because it's really not fun to be in a room where you're the only woman and there's a different language that you can't speak or is difficult to speak. And you see that there's so much that's missing from those rooms, right?
Right.
And then when you go and see the companies and the products and the services that they're producing, when there's not a woman that has a strong voice in the companies you're investing in, they're also missing a critical piece of
Right.
creativity, of energy. And so seeing how blatantly absent that was, and then actually feeling the personal angst about that, it was very easy for me to go focus on filling that gap that I think is really important.
Well, but even what's interesting to me is like even when women have a lot of wealth, my experience is they still have a lot of anxiety around it, right? How do you begin those conversations? How do you think about activating those women to invest?
So abundance brings more abundance. And I think we all have to think like that. I'm working with a lot of women who do think like that. So I have abundance and I could create more by sharing it with others and they can share it and they can share it. And so getting into that abundant mindset, it's really a shift from a lot of us were raised to be fearful of, money and assets and creating wealth.
Yeah.
And it's really making that whole mental shift to I have abundance, I can create abundance, I can help others create abundance. And investing is one of the most effective ways to do that.
Every time we talk, you remind me of that, and I always thought I was an abundant thinker, and you make me feel like I can be even more so, but a lot of people are sort of balancing, like, career and personal lives, and it can feel overwhelming. How do you what would you advise to women about integrating this sort of into their lives? How do they begin?
Yes. And so we as women, and I will say I have worked on this, we tend to focus on ourselves, our personal growth, our wealth growth, abundance growth. We tend to put that at the bottom of our to-do list often because we're so focused others outside of ourselves. So you very much have to be intentional and create that time for yourself. And part of that is managing your assets, your financial abundance. And so intentionally making that time and then finding people who can advisors that can help you, mentors that can help you. So you're meeting on a regular basis with people to have that discussion. You just have to be very intentional and
Yeah,
set and
just
make the
integrate
time.
it in at all stages. Did you have anybody who was your role model or mentor? Who guided you?
I've had a couple role models. And so I really loved Les Fidesz, who founded Intel
Oh,
Capital. He was just brilliant. He was also one of the founders of Intel. And he's kind of set the tone when we started investing. He's like, if you don't make bad investments, you're not taking enough risks.
there you go.
right? So that taking all the fear away off the table for doing something new is really brilliant. Is really brilliant. Okay. Most people don't do that. And then Dr. Barbara Grant, she is in fact, I was lucky enough to have coffee with her last month. She's in the Women's Technology Hall of Fame. She's invented all kinds of technologies with IBM Labs. She ran IBM's storage business. She's been CEO of many venture-backed tech companies in the Valley and a VC investor and is a good friend. And she's retired now, but she gives me advice and was a role model for a woman who could create companies, products, investments. And yeah, so she was one of my role models as I was, in kind of middle of my career.
I'm not asking for permission anymore. I'm not asking for a seat at the table. My friends, this is the first generation of us. We have a huge opportunity. We have power and influence and wealth. And we can start building the tables where we get the prime seats. Today, we want to invite you to join us as investors in venture. I know no one's asked you to do it before. It might be something that seems scary or foreign, but I promise you it's not that different than investing in a mutual fund where your retirement funds are. I want you to lean in and just learn a little bit more. How about making a commitment that in the next 12 months, you can give yourself 12 months to figure it out and to take a step. I want to invite you to be part of the new table of power and influence and wealth. You're invited. I want to sit at the table with you because we're going to make big change. We're going to make the world we've been dreaming of. I know that you do a lot of community building with women. Have you found a supportive community, or what is it? How does that fit into getting that advice and the inspiration and keeping it ubiquitous? How does that fit in, and what do you do?
Oh, so obviously, in terms of investing communities, you've started one, How Women Invest. There's Golden Seeds, which we know about, Graham and Walker up in Seattle. Local angel groups. I'm in the Sacramento area. We have a local angel group, and we've encouraged a lot of women to get involved. But universities now, I know we have at Harvard, there's a whole women's group now that talks about investing. So, I think finding like-minded women in your community. I also have this phenomenal woman wealth advisor group here in Sacramento that's headed up by one of the partners over at Mercer. And she gets women together to talk regularly. So, reach out in your community. There's great resources on LinkedIn too. If you just type in women angel groups, they'll come up with about 20.
All right. So you think it's good to just start learning by building relationships and reserving. That sounds to me like that's part of your recommendation.
Yeah.
So if you're completely brand new, is there any other first step? Any books, articles, or things that you think people should do?
There's obviously YouTube videos you can watch and so forth, but I sort of talk to entrepreneurs, talk to your friends, and don't be shy. Don't be embarrassed to say, I don't know. I was helping someone understand what accounts receivable meant the other day. And she's brilliant in another area. She's a cardiologist, right? And you know what? Don't be afraid to ask those questions, and it's fun.
So you have been part of probably a bunch of boom and bust cycles, right? But I think of you as sort of being there really relatively early days in the venture world. Of course, it didn't start in the 90s, early 2000s, but there's the male run firms got huge and have a certain sort of way that they do venture that's in the news a lot. And it's not always great. There's a lot of herd mentality and stuff that I'm seeing that causes big bubble busting. But women just started investing in venture in a big way, right? In 2010, there were only 12 funds, but by 2020, there were 300. How do you see both the evolution, if you look at the history and your own experience of the market, and what are the forces that we need to boost up this to be an effective and powerful for all of us?
Yes, it's a great point. So we are at a really exciting time in this journey for women in venture. We have hundreds of qualified funds and women investors with the
Yeah.
experience, the know-how to create all this wealth, right? And so the big opportunity is to get more capital into these women's run funds, right? And
Yeah.
so that's what we need. And we need to let others know about these opportunities and be very vocal. And that's what I try to do is let people know. There's a big difference. The larger male run funds, which are 80 to 90% male, they just have a different experience. So there's different products and services that they're going to try to grow. And then women have different products and services. Example, in my accelerator and in our investment, we've invested in quite a bit of medical technology focused on women, on issues that only women have, from breast cancer to reproductive technologies, so forth. And because they don't have the experience, they're not the capital's not going into these solutions. And so we have a unique experience, not just in medical, but in all walks of life, from, home and family care and on and on and on, that doesn't get represented from these big funds. And they tend to decide what they're all going to invest in. Then billions of dollars go into the next big hot crypto fund. And all these other 99% of other technologies and innovations are ignored. And so this group of women who have much broader range of experience and can put their money into the 99% of other things, the climate tech, medical technologies, things like that, that are not getting the capital that they should. And there's going to be great returns because not everybody's trying to climb into the same crypto or AI.
Right,
But
right. Well, that's sort of like, is it a blue ocean strategy or are we in the Red Sea of competition? Like, what I see so much is like everybody glomming on means, you are, yeah, in some cases you could fuel a whole growth cycle, but we're also seeing, you get a lot of cash, you get more cash than you need. And it actually isn't always good for building a company. Sometimes it's good to to be right sized and get the right amount of money. That's where a lot of this, well, just a ton of waste happens, of course. Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. We're almost out of time, but I have some lightning round questions. Are you up for a couple more questions?
yeah,
Okay. What's a piece of advice that you have received that sticks with you?
always look inward first.
Oh, I just kind of want to sit with that for a hot second. All right. What's a song that gets you pumped up for a big day?
Well, my current one, because joy is my word for 2025, is I have Joy from Tony Moss. I sent you that song.
Yes, you did. I love it.
Mhm.
Do you have one book that you would recommend to an aspiring female leader?
Oh, yeah. The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leaders. It's by the Conscious Leadership Group.
I love that one. Is there a personal motto or quote you live by?
Keep an open heart.
Ugh, this is okay, everybody listening. This is why I love Cheryl Beninga. And how can people connect with you, Cheryl?
Yeah, you can connect with me on LinkedIn or on our website, fourthwave.io.
What's next for you? What are we going to see happen with your impact in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, yeah. We're going to make women one of the most powerful groups in venture.
Excellent. With that mic drop moment, thank you everybody for joining us at How Women Inspire. You heard it here, and these are great tips and recommendations, but also tremendous perspective. Be abundant, turn inward first. All right, everyone, have a wonderful day.